Okay.
Yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the studio here in Northumberland. On a lovely sunny day it is outside, but we're indoors. And what I'm going to do today is a watercolour. And this is a painting that I did outdoors on location last week in Suffolk. I was down in Suffolk running a painting holiday. And this is one of the ones that I did. So I thought that would be nice for a YouTube video. So I'm going to do it. As normal, a quick drawing first, and because I'm working from a photograph, I need my reading glasses. I didn't have my reading glasses out on location last week. It's just photographs. They just make me squint. Anyway, I'm going to start off with the building here. And yeah, about there. There's a little pointy bit on the end. It's an odd roof, is this one. Comes down there. A little bit there. As usual with the drawing, just stick to the outline. Don't start messing about with cross-hatching and shading and all that nonsense. You're going to paint it. Chimney on there. And this place was very fortunate because it was where I was standing was right next to a pub. Lucky. A couple of chimneys there. And the roof coming down there. And a window in there. A couple of bits of wall. There. That's the building, more or less done. And here, I've got some trees, bushy bits here. I shall make a few changes to this that I'm doing now. A few changes to the one that I did last week. Of course, you're never going to get them exactly the same. Not that you would want to anyway. There was a pine tree kind of thing there in the garden. And there's a little bit of a house here. Not much. Just a rooftop really, with a window in it. And another chimney there. Very simple drawing. Window in there. And more bushy bits. Bushy bits, technical term. And there, some stuff further away in the distance. And here, those bushy bits can carry on across there a little bit. And here I've got the field coming down. Bushes there. And the field, I was standing on like a hump of ground here, which was in the pub car park actually. Standing on top of a mound there, looking across at this scene. And you've got tall banks either side of the road in Suffolk. There's the road coming out. Then the road curls around there. And now a grassy hedge there. Which gets wider. You notice everything gets wider as I'm coming out. The track is getting wider before it curls off there. And this here, grassy bit there, is getting wider as it comes out into the foreground. All the roads there, it's quite dusty at the side of the roads, just there. And a little bit there. And here, aggressive trees. All the way up there, look. Now what I'm not doing is fiddling about, drawing loads of twigs. All I'm doing is sticking to the tree trunk and the main boughs. Because as you can tell from here, it's going to be in foliage. Therefore, if I start messing about drawing loads of twigs, I've just wasted a lot of time because I'm going to cover them all up again. And you'll have to excuse the sound of the pencil on the paper. I know some people find that very annoying, but I'm painting, so I have to make a noise on the paper. But if you don't like it, don't watch it. But I have had complaints about that. Oh, the sound of the paper, the pencil on the paper. Really annoying. Don't watch. There's one tree. There's another tree which is a little bit further away. I'm just making the main bough a little bit, main tree trunk a little bit shorter. And there'll be a few twiggy bits coming out of this lot later on, but I shall do that with the paintbrush. Now, get on with that stuff along here. I've got a few. That's where the, imagine that snakes round and goes round that way. Across there like so. You got a good view of that, Gail?
I have.
Good, pleased.
I'll need a good view of the original picture in a minute.
Well, I'm not sure I can do that. I'll have to charge you for that. What, no quick and witty response? Ha ha ha. Bit there. There, just more bushy stuff on the edge. There, drawing done. Now all I need to do is tape off either side. You notice I've just taped top and bottom because I don't know how far I want to come across. Now I've finished the drawing, I'll tape on the sides. Do you want a glimpse of that, Gail?
Yes, please. A good look at that and then a good look at your drawing, please.
Just like that.
Magic. Thank you.
There, I've taped either side now. Time for a big sky wash. And that is quite a big one, really. Loads of water. On the top, black Labrador hair. Side of Franks or Burke's, one or the other. But it's certainly not Burke.
Mine are.
You sure? Okay. Get rid of Frank. There. Now, wash out, squeeze out and mop it up. A little bit of yellow ochre. Like that. Not like that, just like that. And a touch of light red into it. Right down there. I don't want this sky too dark. It was a nice day there. Mop up again. And now, ultramarine blue, there. And it's got a touch of burnt sienna into it, just to knock off the really bright blueness. Stick that on the top there. And coming down. All the way through those other colours. And people say, how come it doesn't go green? That's because I've got light red in the yellow ochre. And also, yellow ochre is a heavier brown content. It's not like a traditional yellow. Wash out, squeeze out. And take some fluffies out there. Easy peasy. Because I've got so much water on this, and a good steep angle on my board, as you can see, as I'm taking out there, it's coming back in at the top. That's not a problem. Just let it run for a second or two. Yeah. Like that, squeeze out. Mop up again. And again, mop up. Now, it's more or less finished running. It's not dry, not by any means, but it's finished kind of like running. So I can now reinstate the top of those clouds. Like so. And again here. Mop up again. What I'm going to do now is drop a little bit of light red into my blue, ultramarine blue, tiny touch of light red. So I've got a greyer blue. And drop a little bit of that in here. Like so. Wash out, squeeze out. And now where I've just put that grey colour, I'm just going to soften it on the top. So I've got a little bit of cloud shadow there. And again, mop up and let that dry. You see there, look, I've got some coming down here. I'm not bothered about that because I'm going to have foliage there anyway. So just let that dry. There, I've got a couple of birds. Get rid of them. Let it dry. There, that's the sky. More or less dry. Probably a little bit damp here and there, but it'll be fine. And to be honest, I don't really need that anymore. So I've got the drawing in. I know what colours I want or what colours I need. So I'm going to start now straight on with the house. And I haven't got my palette, Gail.
I shall follow you around while you get your palette.
I've got my palette, Gail.
Oh, good.
Marvellous.
I know you're organised eventually.
I'll get there. Now, a little bit of light red and a touch of Payne's grey. Not Payne's grey. What am I talking about? Burnt sienna. Light red and burnt sienna. I'm using it at its strongest just for that little bit there. I'm using my number 8 round brush. Just block it in. A little bit of that down there as well. Now, more water. I'm not putting any more paint in there. Just more water into the same brush full of paint. Even more. That's how much paint these brushes hold. It's weaker on that side. There. And just fill it. I'm going to have that over here as well, the weaker version. Don't want much on that house. Now, a little bit of yellow ochre in there. You're simply just blocking in. Once you've got a drawing like this is just colouring in. You're just filling in your own pencil marks, block by block. Such an easy way of doing it. Like that. And now into that yellow ochre, I'm going to have a little bit of raw umber. So it's darker for there. I'm going to have the light coming from the right, but I'm putting that darker version in there because all these bushes will cast shadows onto the building. Now with that same colour mix, onto the chimney, all with a number 8 round brush, which is quite a big brush, but you can get a nice fine point to it. There, and a little bit there, and again, more water into it, so it's weaker, oh there, much weaker look, and there. Now on the windows, you see how easy this building is to do. A little bit of ultramarine blue and burnt sienna mixed, and I've just got 3 little strips in there. A leaving a little bit of white between each strip. And we'll have a couple in there. And then I'll put shadow on that afterwards. But in the meantime, whilst that's drying, I'm going to carry on with the brushes. And a little bit of yellow ochre. Put that in there. A bit there. And stronger yellow ochre going in here. A little bit less water into it. How's that looking, yeah? Bushy?
Very bushy.
That's what we like to hear. Now, hooker's green and yellow ochre. Got various greens going on here. Hooker's green with a lot of yellow ochre into it. Put there. Carefully around the building. Excuse me sniffing. Leaving bits of the yellow ochre showing as well. Bit of that there. And now, slightly stronger. Put there. Whenever, like I said, this place was right next to a pub. It was in the car park of the pub. Whenever I'm out on location, I always try to find somewhere like a pub, because that way, if you go in for morning coffee, you can then use their toilets all day. And when you've got a group of people out painting with you, toilets are important, believe me. Now, a little bit of blue, ultramarine blue. I'll smell that in there. A little bit stronger. Bit there. And a few bits down here. And it never comes out bright blue, even though you're putting blue onto your trees. It's not going to come out bright blue, but what it is going to do is add more depth to the bushes, trees, whatever. It's there. Now just blue. Put those bits over there. Further away. And I'm just going to soften that lot. Just dabbing on with a clean damp brush, look. Softening the colours in together. There. I've got that little, what is it? One of them.
Is it a spruce or something?
Yeah, one of those. And blue and burnt sienna. Mixed. And with my rigger brush, number 4 rigger, just have a stick coming down there. Shall I make that 2?
I like the one.
You like that one? Okay. Right.
Speaking as your artistic director.
Okay, fine. You mean she who shall be obeyed?
Mm-hmm. So.
Now, blue, hooker's green and burnt sienna. A nice dark, rich green there. I'm just popping, that's too dark, a bit more green. Just pop that on there, that's better. You see, it's a different type of green. Purely accidentally, obviously. And down, there, I'll do. Dib dab dab. Now for a little bit of shadow on the building, and that's that section finished off. Ultramarine blue. Alizarin crimson, so I made a really naff purple, and a touch of burnt sienna. More on that. And someone said to me on YouTube feedback, you do realise that nobody else can see your colour mixes, don't you? Well, if you can't see them on the paper, then you must be blind. bit across there, bit down there, a little bit in there. There. Now where the roof comes down there, dark line on that. And likewise there. Now with a clean damp brush, what I'm going to do is soften those lines down on the edge of them. And a bit there. And a bit there. Now, give it a bit of age, more water into that same mix, and just a few daubs here and there. Bit of texture, a bit of age. And we would have some shadow going up on that roof from those bushes there. And now just soften. There, that's the building and all its surroundings done. Now across here with more of the same, but smaller and a little bit, getting a little bit weaker. So starting off again with yellow ochre, bish bash bosh, a few bits there, and a few bits there. This time, focus green and yellow ochre. And again, just tap on. Bringing it down to the hedge line there. A few bits here. A little bit more water into the brush. And it's slightly weaker as I'm going further away. There. Now a touch of blue, just a little bit of blue. Ultramarine blue, of course. Just dabbing on. And I'm not going to soften that with a clean damp brush like I normally would. I just want to leave it because I like the way that's drying stronger against that. Yeah, I'm going to leave that. Now, I've got a little bit of stuff just below the house there. So, this time, Hooker's green and burnt sienna. So it's a darker green. Not quite that part. There. Hooker's green, burnt sienna. And I'm just popping that in there like that. But I'm leaving a few little bits of white paper showing through on top, look. Just here and there. And a few bits over here as well. Hedge going off into the distance there. And again, a little bit of blue. Just at the base of it, look. And let it spread in the wet. It's always lovely, you get that lovely spread going on. Where you want it, that is. It's not so lovely when it's spreading somewhere where you don't want it. In which case, I have a very handy book out called Watercolour Rescue. Shows you how to rectify mistakes. I would have, wouldn't I? Now, to my 3/4 inch brush, my flat brush for a change. I'm starting off with a little bit of yellow ochre. Big brush, whack it on. Bit of yellow ochre there. I'm just going across here, look. like so. I don't have to paint too carefully around the trees, but they're easy enough to miss. You don't have to, because you can always suck the paint out afterwards when it's dried. Coming down there. Now into that yellow ochre, I'm going to add a little bit of Hooker's green, whilst it's still wet, so that again, that softens up one into each other. Now, just a touch of light red here and there, which just helps to warm it up really. Now, bit that, a few touches, don't go mad with it. And just let it spread, a little bit there. Clean damp brush, all I'm doing, look, smooth across. There, just let it happen. Now for over here, this is, I don't know what crop it was, but it was just one big crop coming down here. So again, different way of putting it on, but I'm starting off with yellow ochre. But I'm splitting my brush up, my 3/4 inch brush, splitting it, and stipple on there like that, on the top. And having a few bits of white paper showing through is good, it's not bad. So don't worry about it, that's adding extra light to your picture. Now, Hooker's green and yellow ochre, with a heck of a lot of yellow ochre into it. Here, loads of that, there. Again, split my brush, stipple in amongst it. When I said some white paper, I meant some, not too much. Because we are supposed to be painting the paper as well. Coming in here. And bring that down. There. I haven't come all the way down to the road. There's a reason for that. I'll think of it in a minute. A little bit of that there. Now, a little bit of blue. Again, got enough water into it, I'm splitting the brush again. And now, a little bit of digital art. And just let all that dry for a second. Now, before I carry on with anything around here, I want to get the trees in. And so I'm changing to my round brush. And for the tree trunks, to get the feel of some light coming in here on the right hand side, I'm going to start off with yellow ochre. But there's 3 colours going on, these tree trunks. The last colour's going on whilst the first colour's still wet. That way the colours will spread into each other slightly and help give you that rounded effect on a tree. So, starting off with yellow ochre. And doing it this way, if you can't paint it quickly enough, just do one tree at a time. But it needs to be still wet when the last colour's going in. I'm going to do both the trees together. Of course, I'm fairly fast. Coming down that. And a little bit on here. And with this brush, the round brush, I'm just sticking to the main tree trunks and a couple of the bigger boughs. And I'll change to my rigger brush for the smaller bits. Now, raw umber. And that's going on, again, like I said, whilst the yellow ochre is still wet. That way the colours start to merge into each other straight away. See that? A little bit of that up here. And down here. Now, black. But obviously not manufactured black. Make it ultramarine blue and burnt sienna will give you a nice black. There. And again, that's going down the left-hand side there. All the way down. Now you can see how I start to get a rounded look to my tree trunk because the colours are still wet and running into each other. All that here. Are you getting all this, girl?
Oh, every detail.
Jolly good. That's what we like to hear. We like to keep our customers satisfied.
Hmm?
We like to keep our customers satisfied. Not that we'll ever achieve that. Now, go into my rigger brush and carry on these bits coming up, look. With a smaller brush. Take one into the other though. There. And as I said earlier, don't start fiddling about too much with many twigs because you're going to be covering them with foliage. And this is just the ultramarine blue and burnt sienna mix. And here, a rigger brush is fabulous for twigs and tree trunks and stuff. Getting warm in here, girl.
I'm fine.
That's because you're
What?
a Nancy Southerner.
No, from Manchester.
Yeah, Manchester Southern.
How is it?
In any case, I won't be admitting that one here. There. A few twigs, look. Now, I want to get a little bit of texture on the side of the tree. So again, still with the rigger brush, what I'm doing, put the brush on, lay the full length on and drag out. Look. See? Is that looking fairly tree-like bit? Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a bit of green in there afterwards as well. But now, into the foliage. Even though they're really quite close up, and I'm going to have them in full foliage, obviously, I'm not going to start painting individual leaves. Starting off again with my 3/4 inch wash brush and yellow ochre. And all I'm doing, look, tapping on like so. This is where red wine helps. The hand shakes more readily. Yellow ochre there. Bit of that here. Just dabbing, tapping. Now, Hooker's green and burnt sienna. Quite a bit of burnt sienna in there. Plenty of water in it. There, that'll do. And again, tapping. Whilst the yellow ochre is still wet. Remember, leave plenty of gaps. Otherwise you end up with a lollipop on a stick. Let the light come through. Let the birds be able to fly through. It's there, breaking through the boughs and the tree trunks and everything with the foliage as well. Now where I put the scrapey bits with the side of the rigger brush there, I'm going to put a few bits here as well. Look. Breaking up the profile of everything slightly. And finally, a touch of blue. starting the blue on that dark side first. The dark side. And then spreading across slightly. But sticking to the underside of clumps of foliage. Do you know what I mean with that?
Where the light
that's the one.
can't get through.
There. Tree in full foliage.
What a lovely tree.
Thank you. Okay, finished with that bit. Now, before I carry on with all these grassy stuff and the banks either side, I'm going to get the path in, the track in. Because that way I don't have to paint the track in carefully once I've got all the grasses in. Just easier to bash it on this way. Starting off with a bit of sand, Charles Evans sand. And then just stick that on there like so. Curling around the edge there. Now, a little bit of yellow ochre, just a tiny touch. Here and there, look. Now, likewise, a bit of light red. That's not tracking, but it's got a warmth to it. Wash out, squeeze out, and just merge together. Give them a nice colour for my track. Now, still with the same brush, 3/4, for a little bit of soil at the base of that one. Just raw umber. So, coming up to the grass. There, you see how that sits down on there now? Golly gosh, that was lucky, wasn't it? There, coming down there.
Might have been my stomach.
And that's just a little bit of soil underneath the crop. Now, just sand, but fairly strong. I'm going to pop that in there. A bit of dusty stuff on the side of the track. Likewise here. Like that. Now, just with my round brush, a little bit of yellow ochre and hooker's green mixed. Just from the end of that. That ends that bit, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean, girl?
End of the grassy bank.
Yes. Soften it in now. There. Now, it's a big chunk of grass here. Sorry, grass. There. Dearie me, grass. Now, yellow ochre to start with. That, and what I'm doing, flick upwards, look. Like so. Keep the yellow ochre strongish. And that. Now hooker's green and yellow ochre. It's a lighter green than that, but it's still fairly strong. Hooker's green. I don't want too much water in it. I don't want it flooding. And yellow ochre. There. A bit more water. And again, look, flicking up. See, it's a lighter tone of green, but it's still a good strength of colour. Flicking up. And a few touches there. And now bring that down. Just touching that other bit that I've just done. There. And again, do this down. All I'm doing is tapping on them. These are grass strokes. I thought it was funny anyway.
It's all right.
What?
Well, that's all that matters.
Okay. You're just humouring me now, aren't you? Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to teach Frank how to film.
You reckon you do it better than me?
No, I'll just get less criticism from him. Now, flicking up there. Now, a little bit of blue. Still green blue. There it is. Bit of water into that. Get that in there. See, instantly that just gives more depth to the green. A bit of that down here as well. Flick up. A few touches here. Now, all that's left to do now is a lot of shadow, but this lot needs to dry first. Actually, I've just said that. There is one more thing to do, which is all the birds coming in from the distance. And I'm going to put them in because they were there, and it did just add that enough life to it. So I'm going to my rigger brush, ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. Bit of that, bit of that. It's not quite black, but it's dark. And I think they were crows. They were just kind of like coming up from the fields behind. So I thought a big one here. Well, the biggest one here. And twisting around all over the place, look. And then as they went further away, they were just blobs. See? Now to finish it off, like I said, it's just a few shadows now. Some fairly big ones actually. And again, it's that same shadow mix, ultramarine blue, because that's the blue of my sky. Alizarin crimson. There's my purple. And a touch of burnt sienna. A bit more blue to that. And there we go. What I'm looking for always is like a dark aubergine colour. I'm starting off here. I'm going to get some underneath where the grass stuff meets the muddy bit there. A bit of shadow in there, look. You see how that makes that sit down on there. There. Now, clean that brush, soften that down slightly. What did you say about those birds earlier?
I said they were very ornithologically. Logical.
And if anybody else knows what that means. Now, shadow from the trees, but whatever's casting the shadow, touch it first, look. Touch that tree with the shadow there and there. And then bring it down like so. Down to the land and then across. And again, down there. And bring it across. Now, take it up there a bit as well. Because that shadow's going to cast quite a way. A few more bits there. A dark block a bit there. Now a lot more water into the same mix. So I can cast the shadow from there across there, look. And a few little lumpy bumpy bits in the track. That's not shadow, that's just a bit of rough in the track here and there. And that is that one done. All I need to do now is take the tape off. There, finished painting. I hope you enjoyed that one. It wasn't that difficult, even though it's quite a big picture, it wasn't that difficult. But, like I say, don't get bogged down with all the too much material. I've used 4 brushes, that's all I ever use. 1.5 inch flat, 3/4 inch flat, number 8 round, and a number 4 rigger. And these are Aquafine brushes, Dale Rowney Aquafine. And I think they're fabulous. Well, you've seen how much water they hold, and just how much paint they hold. But likewise, I use the same brushes for my acrylics as well. Fabulous brushes, and they're very, very inexpensive. I think they're, what, 20 quid for the whole set?
Yep.
The paints, likewise. Aquafine paints. Get these here. That's some of the colours that I use. Aquafine, Dale Rowney, brilliant colours. And they've got an amount of natural pigment in them as well. So they've got good staying power and good strength. Well, you can see, good strong colours. £1.80, are they?
Yes.
£1.80 a tube, these are ridiculously cheap. I've got lots of books out in watercolours. Here you go. Coastal landscapes, ready to paint boats and harbours, but the two that I really love. The pocket book, which is full of tips and techniques, absolutely packed with tips and techniques. And colour mixers and everything. It's a little pocket book that you can keep in your paint box, and it's always there to refer to. If everything goes wrong, this is the one I was talking about earlier, Watercolour Rescue. And again, it's showing you how to rectify a lot of the popular mistakes in watercolours. But they're all for sale on my website, just have a look at them. The paper I'm using, the Langton Rough, we've got that in 2 sizes on the website. And beautiful paper, and if all goes wrong, you can turn over and paint on the other side because it's internally sized to take the paint. There's no wrong side to paint on. Beautiful stuff. I use it every day. So hopefully you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.